aspect of COVID is, of course, the impact on the economy as you begin to bring in curbs because nothing else seems to be working. For example, in Maharashtra, malls, theatres have been ordered to shut. Restaurants shut. The restaurants, in fact, can only now give home delivery as an option, takeaways as an option. There will be weekend lockdowns. There will also be night curfews starting 8 p.m. Now, this obviously means that while manufacturing and construction kind of economic activities will continue, there will be an impact on these sectors. In fact, not just this. As a number of cases surge ahead on a daily basis, the fears of tighter restrictions, job losses and lockdowns are leading to migrants leaving these cities back to their hometowns. Nightmarish memories from perhaps last summer are pushing these workers to catch the first train out back to their hometown so they don't get stuck the way they did the last time around. Then that would become another big problem because you would have your factories running but no one in these factories to do the work. It's a very tricky situation, viewers. Maharashtra, and especially Mumbai, is the economic powerhouse for this country. A partial lockdown here can't just be seen as an isolation about how business just impacts people here. It will have a larger impact on our country. And as more and more states see increase in cases, start shutting down malls and theatres, 50% working capacity in hotels and restaurants and gyms in Karnataka. Schools and colleges, of course, continue to remain shut. Night curfew timings get extended more and more. Markets shut down on partial weekend lockdown days. All of this is going to have an impact on the country's economy again, just when we were beginning to turn around. How do we maintain a balance? How do we ensure COVID control while also ensuring the economy doesn't go for a toss? Let's ask those who are part of this system. I say good evening to Viren Shah, President for Federation of Retail Traders Welfare Association, joining us this evening. Kumar Rajgopalan, CEO of the Retailers Association of India. Mukesh Kumar, CEO of Infinity Mall and Chairman for the Shopping Centre Association of India. Anurag Katriyar, National President for the Restaurant Association of India. And also have Manisha Kayande, spokesperson for Shiv Sena, member of the Maharashtra Legislative Council, joining us this evening. Let's start off with a couple of industry representatives, and let's actually ask Viren Shah, because I understand your association, Mr. Shah, has also written a letter to the Maharashtra Chief Minister about the decision that's been taken.
Yes, we have been writing, and today also we have wrote a letter to Maharashtra Chief Minister Shri Uddhav Thackeray ji, and also Sharad Pawar, Supriya Sule, Nawab Malik, Aslam Sheikh, everybody who has been talking since yesterday on the channel. Basically, of course, our demand is that small shops should not be allowed to shut down. They should be allowed to open. And yesterday also on all the channels everywhere, you have promoted more of a mall and restaurant. Small shops were never on the picture at all. Neither we were consulted, neither we were discussed. This decision was taken completely a shock, because there are more than 13 lakh shops in Maharashtra and almost 3.5 to 4 lakhs wholesalers and retail shops in Mumbai. And such a vast decision, and we were not even consulted. Neither forget about consulting. They are promoting the online players. Means you don't go out unless you have been asked to go out. You directly order online. E-commerce has given a red carpet treatment. And malls, shops and the small shops should be asked to shut down for 1 month. Imagine, this is the 13th month of the lockdown. We have suffered a 50% loss in last year. Till we cannot afford to pay the salary to the staff for last 5 months. And this whole month is going to be like this. And here, government, we understand Corona is spreading and we all have to work together. But at what cost? Are you promoting the online player? Are you giving our business which the stocks are lying on the godown of the retail and the wholesale, direct benefit to the online players. What is going on with the Maharashtra government? Mumbai is a financial capital where the business starts from here. Yes, we understand that there is a problem, but where is the problem? Problem is the political rally. Problem is at the garden. Problem is in the Chopati, Marine Drive. All those places, lot of rush is there. Where weddings happening, where people are gathering. Political, all the assembles are there. Nobody's going to say anything. But in the shop, there are 2 or 3, 4 customers. In the mall, if you walk anywhere, there is enough place to walk around.
Okay.
Corona doesn't come where the crowd is not there. We shop do not have any crowd, and government has taken a decision. It's a death for all the retail industry in Maharashtra.
Okay,
And
let me also get
completely
Kumar
shocked.
Rajgopalan on this, on the shopping in the shops part, before I bring in the others. Kumar, clearly we are looking at 10,000 cases every day in Mumbai, 50,000 cases every day from one state. Something has to be done. Repeated warnings haven't stopped people from coming out in large numbers.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are in a situation where it's a devil or the deep sea. But sometimes we'll need to learn from the past. And I think the Viren Shah's thought process here is, I also would think on same lines, but slightly differently. Is that we all need to be able to be having life and livelihood. We've been always talking about this. Now we've learned about this for 13 months. We also learned the fact that social distancing is important. We learned about all kinds of hygiene requirements. So under these circumstances, we need to put all this in practice. And we did put this in practice somewhere in September, October. And that's why we were able to open up and we were able to do a few things. Maybe the customers forgot a few things. The administrators forgot a few things. But that doesn't mean that we can't bring that back. I think it's a very drastic decision to say that all the shops, non-essential shops, have to be shut. And I echo the numbers. If there are 1.3 million stores, if there are more than 5 million people working in retail business, and if this retail business has got this contagion effect across manufacturing, across distribution, across various other industries, and to also taxes with the government, I think it's essential to do this very carefully rather than just do it in the manner in which it's currently coming to us. I think most of us in the sector are getting shocked that this kind of a drastic decision got taken, because through and through, our belief has been, and the Chief Minister has been very clear, that it's not a lockdown. But as far as the retail industry is concerned, it is a lockdown. All the stores are shut other than essential. This is how it was even during the lockdown period in the month of March and April. So I think it's come back to that stage. There are people working inside these places. 1 month of not being able to function is going to result into zero revenue, but our expenses are going to continue. We'll still have to pay our property tax. We've not got any kind of a respite on that even in the last year. We still have to pay minimum electricity charges. We'll have to pay all kinds of fees. So our fixed expenses remain the same. Our revenues become zero. We are back. This is deja vu in some form. I just hope that we'd be able to moderate this slightly differently.
Okay.
And the other part is, if you say construction industry is open and the hardware stores are not open, how do they work? If you say that marriages, you can have 50 people coming in, but there are no garments being sold, how does it happen? I mean, everything is got connected with each other. So I think we'll need to start taking a slightly easier situation here. If there are places where more than 5-6 people congregate, there should be definitely something to be restricted. If there are cases where in a store there is not even 30 square feet of area for an individual, definitely that has to be taken care of. We are quite careful about the way things can be done. We've got very good SOPs all across. I think we'll have to insist on the SOPs rather than run away and say shut the shops.
Okay, fair enough. So Manisha Gandhi, come in here. We've heard it from the, those representing the shops saying, well, what you're actually doing spells death for their business, and there could have been other ways out.
Well, to begin with, I would like to thank Mirror Now for inviting me here. Now, the thing, this is a absolutely different type of a unique situation where you have the number of corona cases increasing very, very drastically. And on the other hand, people have lost the fear of corona. On the third, when the economy is coming on the tracks, and there once again you have a second or a third wave of COVID. So the government just didn't come to this conclusion of what the breaking the chain, the new circular that the government of Maharashtra has come out, and the government has been talking. It has been given warning. The various mayors, the city mayors, it may be the commissioners, it may be the police, it may be all the leaders. I think since complete March, every leader has been appealing to the citizens to wear their masks. I mean, that was the least that can be expected out of the citizens. And even that was not happening in spite of so many warnings, coaxing the people to wear a mask. And with the size of population that we have in India, in Maharashtra, I think that was becoming a difficult task even for the administrators. Like the CM of Maharashtra, in all ways, with a stern voice, with a fatherly tone. I mean, he has appealed to everyone. And then he took the industry people, he took the hotel owners into confidence, he took the opposition leaders into confidence. He also took the entire film industry, the main representatives of the film industry, into confidence. So it was not imposed like last year, suddenly on 22nd March, that from 8 p.m. you have a lockdown. So it was very, very gradual. It was, tightening the noose very, very slowly. So, of course, I know that nobody is going to be happy, and neither the government is. I don't think so that Honorable Uddhav Thackeray is also too happy with whatever he is doing regarding, making people sit at home. But that is required. I mean, on one side, people are dying. Of course, the death rate of Maharashtra is 1.88, and this should not increase. The testing is increasing, the vaccination is increasing. I think, like some of the industrialists said, that when there was a previous lockdown, the administration, the governments got time for setting up temporary hospitals, the COVID care centers that we have today. But now we require time for vaccination, which is very, very important. Maharashtra is leading in the vaccination process. So I see the government is trying to come on a golden median. And I know that this is really difficult, very difficult to digest, but you have to take the bitter pill. And that everybody has to take. It's not just one sector.
So I'm just going to, briefly come in here and ask you the point that the business community is making right now, especially the shopkeepers, that the crowding isn't really happening inside these shops or even in these malls. And I will, bring in more experts in that in just a bit. The crowding is actually happening at larger events. It's happening because we perhaps are not opening up more public transport, or in open markets, where people should be penalized.
All political parties have been equally responsible for coming on the roads and protesting.
Correct. So why are they being punished selectively?
I agree with you, Tanvi.
But why are these guys being punished selectively is the argument.
No, now everything is shut down. All the political programs, all religious programs, everything has been curbed. I think you must have read the Breaking the Chain circular. And all political events are completely closed down. So
I have a question.
What mistakes everybody has made, all parties are equally responsible, I would say. Because we all came on the roads for various purposes. The opposition coming on the roads every day, even we, against the petrol and diesel and gas price rise. So it was everybody, because the fear of corona was completely out of the minds of people. And that is one of the main reasons, whether you agree with me or not. Like, many of us have lost the fear. Those who have got corona, they know what it is like. And those who have not got it till now, so they think, okay, now it's all over.
Okay.
So this, for a government, was absolutely walking on a tight rope.
Okay, fair enough. Viren, I know you have a question, but if you can just wait, because there are two more panelists who haven't, made their comments so far, and I just want to go across two more panelists, and I just want to also tell our viewers this. Let's keep in mind the fact that in Maharashtra, while the other states are now catching up, Maharashtra is actually the one that has been seeing a large number of cases every day for the last month and a half. where constantly the government has been asking people, warning people of a lockdown, of a shutdown, but that's not brought about any kind of respite that we've seen on ground, which is where the problem really comes through. But Mukesh Kumar, it is easy to say we don't have crowding in the malls, but what do you do in crowded food courts? What do you do about crowded theaters where people, come and stand in large groups together? Could we have found another solution apart from this?
Tanvi, let me tell you first, the way the number of cases is going up in Maharashtra, especially in Mumbai, it's a matter of great concern. We definitely agree with the Chief Minister and the government that they have to take some action so that cases can be brought under control. One good thing what has happened is that they have not just singled out the malls and the theaters and the restaurants, which used to happen always, that first casualty is always the malls, restaurants and the theaters. I think government's taken a little more steps and makes sure everything else you have to shut. Coming back to the malls and the food court and the restaurants, let me tell you, we have very strict SOP we have. The protocols what we maintain, any part of the mall, there's hardly any crowd. The way we have maintained the entire food court, the number of seats have reduced by 50%. Same thing has been done in the restaurant as well. So as far as the malls are concerned, all the theaters are concerned, all the restaurants are concerned, they have taken all kind of precautions and followed all kind of protocols and SOPs. So I don't think mall definitely has a problem. Now, coming back to the second issue about the number of people coming to the mall or the shop for buying things, for shopping. You're talking about just 2.5% or 3% total floating population. They come to shop either in the mall and the shopping places or in the restaurants. So that's a very small number. The larger issue what you have is the public transport and the weekly bazaars and the markets. I think it needs to be controlled there. So I think we need to look at these kind of places where it can be controlled. I think we have missed the bus somewhere here. Rather than controlling these kind of places which are more disciplined, more organized, we should look at these kind of places where, the government can put more efforts. I'm sure government must have thought about all this. There's something which can control, something you can't control. But to look at things like malls, I don't think this is the right thing to do. Now, what government can do currently? Of course, they've started increasing the number of tests. I think the most important thing is vaccinating people more. If we can get away from the center in terms of vaccinating people, and maybe you can look at people even below 45. People on the front line, if we're talking to the retail workers, the mall workers, they also need to be vaccinated so that they are in touch with most of the people. Number two is also very important to understand that if we do not take these actions about the markets and the public transport, I really doubt that we can control this. Even as of today, even the public transport, there's no curb. Of course, you have closed the offices, you have closed the shops, you have closed the malls. But where's the curb on the public transport or all the trains? There's hardly any curb there. People are still going to travel. Who's going to control that? I think we need to look at the overall situation rather than just looking at one. They can knee-jerk reaction just closing all the shops.
Okay, well, I don't want to get into specific examples, and I will also say that it is everybody's responsibility, the customers, the business owners, as well as the government. But there have been many examples where we've seen norms being flouted. Whether it's banquet halls who promised 50 people and called 500 people and made money out of that during the time that only 50 were allowed. Whether it was restaurants who were told 50% capacity, but they filled it up on weekends and allowed people to party in huge numbers in closed spaces, or even shops. Now, while we could have self-regulated ourselves, I guess everybody assumed that it's not a concern anymore. And neither did the government and the local authorities do. Often you would see local officials walk in, warn, and go away without shutting down places and penalizing places. Perhaps which is why we've now come to this point. But we are here now, Anurag Katriyar. We are here. We know there is going to be a business loss. I also want to understand from you, how is it going to work out for restaurants? Now, are they all going to effectively shut down by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? I am being told as we speak that the online, the home delivery services have actually stopped taking orders because the restaurants will not be providing home delivery starting now. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely true. Now, here is the clear-cut state of the business today. We can only operate as a delivery player or a takeaway player from Monday to Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you are only a delivery player. running from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now let's understand 75 to 80% of our business happens during the dinner hours. Dinner hours are taken away. So it is not even a viable option to keep it open for deliveries only. A restaurant is not a delivery kitchen. It's a place where you come and experience go through an experience of having a meal, unwind yourself. Now that has been taken away. Now coming back to, I've been hearing this whole thing about how restaurants were crowded, places were crowded. Let's understand, restaurants in Maharashtra opened in October. October went, November went, December went, Jan went, Feb went. There were no surge in cases. In fact, they kept coming down. Where did we go wrong? And I think we went wrong where the public transport was opened up, though there were some curbs in there, but that is where the surge has come in. But today, what are we doing? Other than those, we are shutting down other businesses. You are not attacking the problem where it is. If your left elbow is fractured, you don't put a sling on the right one. And that is where the problem is. Now, coming to following the COVID protocols, I will like to take this opportunity to tell you, as late as 2 weeks back, we had a meeting with the Honorable Chief Minister and other officials where there was general consensus that 90% of the restaurants are following COVID protocols. Nothing has changed from October to now. We are still operating for limited hours. We were still operating with 50% capacities. So the problem is somewhere else. But today, what has happened, that we are targeting what I call malls, restaurants, the retail shops in malls as very easy targets. It's easy to shut them down. I mean, like Viren was saying a little while ago, and so was the other panelist, Kumar was telling, at any given point of time, how many people are there in a shop? They are not crowding the shop. Restaurants are working with 50% capacities. It is a controlled environment. Whereas what you have left open, construction work, film shootings, manufacturing, they are not controlled environments. We are attacking at a wrong place.
Okay, I'm going to get a response on that in just a bit. But one more follow-up with you, Anurag, is the government saying that, we're going to, and I don't know how this is going to be practical, but either you get your staff vaccinated, even the delivery guys vaccinated, or they carry an RT-PCR certificate and get an RT-PCR test done every 15 days. Now, have we started the work on that? How is it going to work out for shopkeepers, restaurant workers, home delivery guys?
I mean, let's take the home delivery guys, because that's the only real business which is going to carry on right now. Now, if we have to vaccinate them, they need to be 45 years or above. Now, if you look at the data of both the big aggregators in the food service space, I don't think more than 5% of the people will be in the age bracket of 45 plus. So what do they do? I think there has to be some dialogues. There has to be, every stakeholder has to come together to find a solution. This is, we did have meetings, we discussed, but we weren't aware that something like this was coming through. And it's not that something changed drastically. What changed was number of cases, but the root cause of that was not the diners in the restaurant or shoppers at the mall. It is because of the larger markets, public places. That is where cases have, public transport. That is where cases have come up. This RT-PCR and all, these are all added expenditure. First of all, no restaurant can function as a delivery kitchen. Arithmetic doesn't work out. Do whatever you want to do. And that too only till 8 p.m. Absolutely no chance, because those little orders you get for lunch is from the offices, which are also shut down now.
So on weekdays, restaurants can't function post 8 p.m. or the delivery guys can't function post 8 p.m. Why have the orders stopped right now?
Nothing can function post 8 p.m. That's it. 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. all days of the week. Only difference is on the weekdays, you can do a takeaway or a delivery. On weekends, it is only delivery, not even takeaways. As simple as that. This is what it is. Now, if you are hungry, you come back home and or wherever you are at home and you're hungry at 8:30, you have no other option but to cook at home. You can't order from anywhere.
Well, you pretty much, Anurag, talking about the plight of, almost my entire team, because we only get done with our news broadcast post 10 p.m. and get home by 11 and 12. So, yeah, but Manisha Kande, these are genuine, real problems, and these are your, representatives of the business community who've interacted with the government in the last couple of months and are now sitting here and saying, well, what you are doing is perhaps not the right way to deal with this situation.
Well, Tanvi, I have been listening to everybody's comments and also particularly Mr. Anurag. Well, of course, see, when the trains began for everyone with the staggered timings, though it started with the women first from 11 to 3 o'clock. Now, even the simple maids coming to our houses, they wanted to come by train, obviously coming from the places like Badlapur and Ambarnath and Vasai and Virar. So we started with that. Now, as Mr. Anurag said, that it was the public transport. Okay, we agree. But I think one thing that we all have to keep it in our minds, that this is a pandemic. See, it is a war. And when there is a war, everybody has to sacrifice. I think that every sector in its own way is sacrificing something or the other. And I know that, of course, the rich and those who have a little more, they ought to sacrifice more. I mean, of course, we have to be considerate to the most downtrodden people, and and this section is huge in our society. The rich are a very small portion, but of course, many people are dependent on them. So I think that any government, it is the Maharashtra Mahavikas Agadi government today, it may be any government. I mean, nobody can claim that, we are going to do the perfect job. Some sector or the other is going to be unhappy. And I fully agree that, but these are just curbs. Like the previous one, it was a complete lockdown. Now, this is not a complete lockdown per se. These are very strong restrictions. And I think that these are up to 30th April. Let us break the chain. Let us decide. And we all are sailing the same boat. We all are sailing in the same boat. And as I said, this is a war. As Mr. Honorable Uddhavji Thackeray says, that where you cannot see the enemy, but it is affecting you, it is going into your body. And what Maharashtra government has done till now, we had just 2 testing centers, now we have 500 testing centers. We have this huge amount of COVID care centers that have come up in every district practically. So I think that everybody has to do their little bit, and people have been doing. No. It is everybody, all the celebrities, it is I know the Restaurant Association has done a lot in terms of distributing food. But now at least people know that what is going to happen. See, this curbs, lockdown was expected. We all were expecting it. It was not like last time, which was sudden. And then people got stranded. The unorganized sector got stranded. This didn't happen now. Now, still the trains are going on. If they wish to, they can go for a month to their native places and come back when things are normal. So I think
but that still doesn't, take away from the fact that they will have to do it because they don't have a job and they have no means of livelihood here. Because when you shut restaurants and malls and delivery services, it is the same people who will get impacted at the end of the day. It is still the working class. It's still the ones who depend on their daily earnings who are now catching trains and going back home.
Mind you, the 80% people
at least they will not. At least
1 minute, yes, 1 minute. I'll come to each of you one by one.
Where the corona infection is less. See, if they are going to their villages, in a way they are protected from the crowds of the city. At least they will not be infected with coronavirus. So at least for some time they will remain safe because they have a little bigger houses as compared to Mumbai city, where they are living in slums or where they are living in places like Dharavi. So I think that it is a completely collective effort, and I know everybody has to bear the burden.
At the cost of business loss and economy loss, the government, didn't do anything when there was crowding, on the streets, when there was crowding in public transport, when there was crowding at weddings, and when there was crowding in the restaurants as well. You didn't act then. You didn't penalize them. then, and now you're saying shut down business. Is that fair, Manisha Kende?
See, it's not a complete shutdown, as I said. See, the small shopkeepers, somebody was talking of the small shopkeepers. Now, these small shopkeepers are also the chemists, they are also the grocery providers. They are going.
Only 10%.
It's only a complete lockdown on
10% of
Saturday,
total.
Sunday. See, I know that there
Can I
are
come in?
curves, but we have to face it all. We have to
Okay.
face it.
Okay.
Now, let one person on the
Can I
channel
come in?
give a very, very strong suggestion to the government. Okay, do this.
Okay,
And
let's do that. Let's
can
do
just
that. We
take the
need to
responsibility
constructively look
of
at it
sending it to the CM.
so that you know you don't end up damaging one part, just one part, part of the community completely. One by one, I'll go across. Kumar, first to you, and then to Viren and Amrish. Yes, first you.
Yeah. See, the thought is like this. As far as the poor have to be supported, the retail industry definitely takes care of really poor set of people. They come in from really, really poor backgrounds. They're all working in the front end. And when we shut down shops, it impacts immediately these 5 million people. 90% of them are coming from really economically poor backgrounds. So that's one. Second part is when things go wrong, you should not hit roti and kapda first. That's what has happened in this case. The evening food has been stopped, and then the kapda you can't get. I mean, you can't buy any more clothes. In fact, if you want to do some cooking in the house, and if you think that one of your vessels is broken, you can't get it because the shops are shut. You can't have even the homeware items being available. You can't get clothes being available. Only online is allowed. So to a large extent, hardly 3% of the total population is serviced by online. So that's not really going to be the way in which the poorest of the poor can really buy. They don't buy online anyway. So I think we've landed ourselves into a situation wherein we are telling total shutdown. Our experience has been that in those places where the crowding is not much, where the social distancing norms are allowed to be perfect, we should allow them to open. In fact, they should be allowed to open longer hours so that there is no crowd. Instead, we've kind of made sure that those are the first guys that got affected. I agree that the hotel guys were spoken with, the movie people were spoken with. I just hope that they speak with us also as retailers. Simple thing with the retail businesses, 90% and above are people below 45 years of age. 90% and above are people from economically backward classes. Most of us, although we are selling kapda, we are selling ghar ka saman, we are selling hardware that is to be used by people to build buildings. All these are important things to survive. I think we are hitting the place where the survival is important.
Okay.
Plus, we support manufacturing. So I think we need to start thinking differently.
Yeah.
Stop
Well, if people are not consuming, people are not shopping, what is manufacturing really building? It is a connected chain. It's not an isolation that we can see one city, one state. It's business that impacts across the country. The business chain gets broken. The supply chain gets broken. Viren Shah wanted to make a point as well. Go ahead, please.
I have two questions for Manisha ji. Manisha ji just now said that there are people can go to their gaon and village and come back. I would like to ask you, ma'am, there are 35 to 40 lakhs people who are going to be a job loss for a month. And you expect them to go to their village and relax over there. Who will pay their salaries? Who will pay the taxes of the shops?
I never said that they would go and relax.
Let me finish, Manisha ji, let me finish. Let me finish, Manisha ji. Who will pay the rent where the big 35 to 40% of the shop in Maharashtra are on the rent? Second question is that you are giving a red carpet for the online players. That means all non-essential products you want we to keep it stock in the shop for 1 month, not to sell them. And online players, you are giving them red carpet. You order them all the non-essential item at home. So what are you doing? You are taking away my business, ma'am. You are asking my guys to go back to the village and relax over there. That means our financial capital of Mumbai retail, you want to say, okay, sorry, guys, there is a corona. You can't do business, though crowd is very less in your shop, but you can't do the business because corona is spreading in the shops and the mall. Ma'am, I do not agree with you. Corona doesn't spread in the shop and mall. Corona spreads where the public rush is there on the train, buses, and on the Chopati and Marine Drive, ma'am. And the wedding places, there are the crowd which is gathering. You have to attack those people. You can't say that I I asked my staff to go in the village and relax over there. Who will pay the salary? At least Narendra Modi has given some roti to the poorest of poor people. At least you do something for the middle class people. Give them some pocket money directly to them, like how other political party has advised you, ma'am.
Well,
Yes,
okay.
please.
Yes, I have listened to you word by word, and I've also written down what you're talking. First of all, the government has not asked anybody to go to the villages. Now, people normally also, those coming from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, such places, even those people coming from Konkan to Mumbai region, normally this is the time where people go to their villages. Okay, that's a different story in all. But
Madam, in the shop, they
people,
don't come from UP
listen,
and
listen.
Bihar.
I
They
didn't
come from
interrupt you.
Gujarat,
Please,
ma'am.
please. And
Yeah,
I don't want to
you are
talk of
just trying
Narendra
to.
Modi,
I'm
and
trying
I
to
don't want
correct
to
you,
talk of
Manisha ji.
Devendra
They
Fadnavis
don't
and all
come
these
from UP
people.
Oh,
and Bihar.
okay. Yeah. Let her finish her point, please. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk of Narendra Modi or Devendra Fadnavis, please. I'm talking about
No,
people.
nobody.
I'm talking about people of Maharashtra. Okay, and when now just a diversion from the point, because you speak of Narendra Modi, when Honorable Devendra Fadnavis said that what the other countries are doing, it was the nation, it was not one state that is putting money directly into the bank accounts. So here, I think you must remember that it was the nation, the national nation at the center who is giving the fund or the money directly into the bank account. Okay. Now those who are into this completely e-commerce. Now who is the boy coming on the Swiggy, coming on Zomato? These are all these are the most needy people who are doing all these small businesses or small jobs. So do
But
you
ma'am,
think
they are from the
that
restaurant, our
secondly,
own restaurant people. Here,
please
they
have
will be
patience.
doing it
Please
from the
have patience.
godown, ma'am, not from the
Please
shop.
have patience. Please have patience. I listen to you. Don't get agitated. Okay. Secondly, corona can spread anywhere. It can spread on the beaches. It can spread in agitations. It can spread in huge political gatherings. It can spread in marriages. It can spread in transport vehicles. So, I mean, it will be absolutely unscientific to say that corona spreads only in malls. It spreads everywhere. It spreads also in the malls because people move about in the malls without mask. People go for a walk without a mask. People throng the Shivaji Park without a mask. People go for to marine drives without a mask. So I think that let's not be unscientific. Let's talk of the people. Let's talk. Now, give me one suggestion which is very sound,
I
and
can give you.
I will convey it
I
to
can
the
give you.
honorable
I
PM.
can give you. Your suggestion. The suggestion was, and
Please,
what we've
please
been
come up
saying
with
for
suggestion.
1.5 months is
Please,
step up
please come
on
up with
penalizing
suggestion.
violators. Step up on penalizing violators, whether it's banquet halls, restaurants, malls, or people on the road, in the
Okay,
markets.
so
I
you want
can
me
tell
to
you for one
you
and a
want
half months
the
we've been
government to
saying,
stop
Manisha Kande,
penalizing
1
people
minute
without
please,
masks?
step up on vaccination, step up on testing, step up on
Maharashtra is
surveillance
leading in
and tracking.
vaccination.
No, absolute
Tanvi,
numbers mean
Maharashtra is
nothing.
leading in vaccination.
Maharashtra is also
Yesterday
leading
we
in
have
terms of number
vaccinated
of cases.
4.75 lakh
Not
people.
enough. Maharashtra is also leading in number of cases. You
Maharashtra is
need to do
leading in
more.
vaccination, Tanvi.
You need to do more. You need to step up on it. You're
Yes, of
also leading in number of
course we
cases.
are doing more.
You
Yes, of
stepped
course
up
we are
on your
doing more.
testing only after the central teams visited this state, asked what's going on, looked at the individual towns and said your district officials are not doing anything. There was no surveillance, there was no tracking, there was no testing, there was no penalizing of people who were breaking the rules, Manisha Kande. For 1.5 months, we've been saying, if you don't get your act together, we will have to suffer because you will put a lockdown on us, and now you have put a partial lockdown
Tanvi,
for that very reason.
Tanvi, you're shouting unnecessarily.
Because you're not allowing me
Keep
to
the
finish
volume
my
low,
point
please.
without interrupting.
Don't shout, Tanvi.
Allow me
Don't
to finish
shout.
my point without interrupting, Manisha Kande. I have heard you
Yeah,
out.
please.
You asked me for suggestion. Now listen. You were slow with testing. You were weak with your surveillance and contact tracing. You refused to act against people who were breaking the norm, saying, well, how can we penalize these people? We can only warn them. We can only urge them. For 1.5 months, and I can show you from the first day when we started this conversation, we've been asking, why are you not being tougher with the violators? Why are you not stepping up on your testing? Why are you not stepping up on your tracking, on your vaccination? We don't want a lockdown. And you've still brought us to a point where there is no other option left but to go into this. That's what I'm asking you.
Okay. So you want me to talk?
Yeah.
Well, Maharashtra has been leading in testing, tracing, vaccination. All on the fronts, Maharashtra has been in the lead of all the other states put together. Maharashtra is a capital, it's a financial capital, it's a place which attracts people from all other states. I mean, people from all over the country come to Maharashtra, and Maharashtra is doing lot more than what the other states are doing. And I don't want to compare with any other state.
Yes, you shouldn't, because you have to. You have to, looking at the state of affairs.
Yes, we are doing it. Yes, we are doing it. And the contact tracing and everything is in place. Now, once the economy began, after the lockdown was completely lifted.
Dr. Manisha Kayande, there are exhaustive reports
I quit the show.
Done by government officials.
If you don't want to listen to me, I quit the show.
You are wrong. You're giving
Tanvi,
wrong
I think
information.
You don't want to listen to me.
You're giving wrong information. You're giving wrong information. You have to listen to it when I'm pointing it out. You are telling our people, our viewers, that you are doing contact tracing. It's an official report that says that the contact tracing method that was followed in Maharashtra was wrong. That you were only asking them who have you come in contact with without actually tracing. Which state was
doing the best? Can you tell me? We'll follow their example. Which state was doing the best?
Your state.
We'll follow their example.
Your state is the one that is suffering. There is no point in comparison. That's exactly what I am saying. Your numbers are high.
For you. Sometimes you want to compare, sometimes you don't want to compare.
Which other state is in a state of lockdown? We are.
Don't shout here. Don't shout.
Your government continues to be in denial of where you failed, when you acted slow, and now you've gone ahead and put it on people who will end up suffering and bear the economic cost of it.
You don't want me to complete my sentence.
Go ahead, finish your sentence, please.
Quiet.
Finish your sentence. Go ahead.
I'm talking of the contact tracing that was happening in May, June, July. Definitely, the contact tracing dropped down. I don't say, I'm talking of the state which is currently. Now, we are in such a state where after all the transport means were started again, particularly the railways, and that time the boom began. See, Tanvi, whether you'll not agree with me because you have made up your mind not to agree, it's okay. But this is absolutely a tight walk rope, and which you bring in the suggestion, as I told you, you give me some point-wise suggestions, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm writing it down. I'll send it to the CM. Don't worry.
Penalize the violators. Penalize the violators. Those who are breaking the laws. No, ma'am. I do not mean fining people who are traveling in their own cars and not wearing masks inside their own cars. That doesn't count. Please go to the crowded places and see what's going on. Shut down those shops. Shut down those restaurants. Shut down those malls if you want to. But don't make it a blanket rule. Step up on your tracing, contact tracing. Your argument can't be we had great contact tracing in the month of May and June. The situation has been problematic right now.
Talking against the restaurant owners. What do the restaurant owners have to say?
I will come to that, Mrs. Karande. 1 second, Tanvi, can I please come in?
Yeah.
Okay. Here is my question. Who are these people in the restaurant who are not wearing masks, if at all? These are your individual people, not the restaurants. Now, Mrs. Karande, you asked about how do we, we have punished people. If you want a mass to align with you, you need to inspire them rather than scare them. That is one of the things. Because there are people who are violating the things on the road, you are penalizing shops, restaurants, malls to shut down. That's not right, ma'am. That's not right.
Anurag, my name is Manisha Kayande.
We are equally concerned about the vulnerable lot because I don't think there are more vulnerable people than in my industry. Think about those waiters, cooks, housekeepers, security guards. And we have done our bit. It's not that we are not responsible. You rightly said at the beginning of the program, we served 6.7 million meals to people.
Yes.
Okay. So we are also concerned about them. But my question is very simple, ma'am. If the problem is with the mass transportation, let's find a solution to that. If the problem is with the parks, beaches, others, let's concentrate on finding solutions there rather than shutting down malls, restaurants, and cinema halls.
So I wouldn't
Anurag,
say this.
I'll come to
I
you.
wouldn't say this, Anurag. That
I'll
the
answer
problem
this,
is
Anurag.
only with that. The problem is across the board. The bigger problem is lack of implementation of the norms, and nobody was doing it. All we had to do was ensure that those norms are implemented. I'm completely out of time, but Mukesh, because you wanted to, I couldn't come to you earlier. My apologies for that. Go ahead and make your final point, please.
Allow everybody to operate who can maintain all the protocol, their controlled environments. They should be allowed to operate. Shutting us down doesn't help anybody. You are running down the businesses. You're taking employment away from people who are basically economically weaker sector. Even they don't have employment. And if they go back again, believe me, Maharashtra will have a very serious problem in the longer run. Can't allow this to happen at all. Increase your testing and increase your vaccination. Vaccinate as many people as possible, including even though you have to vaccinate people with 20 plus, go ahead and do that. That's only you're going to reduce the number of cases happening here.
I think this has to be taken as the biggest, on war footing with the central government, and the Maharashtra government needs to push for. I understand that the Chief Minister has already written to the center again, saying allow people above the age of 20 to be vaccinated in Maharashtra, and the central government really needs to now get out of his slumber and look at what's happening in parts of the country, especially in parts which are badly hit by COVID. Election season and campaign season aside, we need to see what is going on in Karnataka, in Punjab, in Delhi, in Maharashtra, in Kerala, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, all of these states. We cannot be back to a situation where more and more cities and states start shutting down business and economic activity. Let's step up on the vaccination instead and vaccinate the working population, people who are out there every single day. Completely out of time. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.